Welcome to the Cal Park Bros podcast. I'm your host, Terrence, and with me is my co-host, Jason, calling in for the Batcave in Indianapolis. Jason, how are you, my good man?
Hey, yo, you know what it is? It's record day for the Cal Park Bros. So everything's always up when it's that day, son. And today is that day. So it is up. So ready to get into it, bro.
And if it's up, then it's stuck. Uh, Thank you for listening.
Is that a reference to a song, sir?
Why, yes, it is. Thank you for listening. This is episode 58 of the Cal Park Bros podcast. Funny and initiated, Cal Park Bros is the podcast to hear. We are a weekly podcast for fans of sports, current events, and entertainment.
And as always, folks, we are your hosts, Terrence and Jason. And every single Thursday, we come to you with a brand new episode where we discuss the current events of the day, sports, and the athletes we love.
And even some of the athletes we loathe. No matter the topic, you expect a brutally honest and fun exchange of snark while learning through the lens of our 30 years of friendship that originated in Calumet Park, Illinois.
And folks, for more Cal Park Bros content, make sure you connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok under the handle Cal Park Bros or Cal Park Bros Podcast for more behind the scenes of the show and just to engage with us every single day. But do not forget that the Cal Park Bros Podcast is available to listen and subscribe for free wherever you listen to podcasts.
Like us, love us, share us, follow us. And folks, if you like us, hell, why wouldn't you?
That's right, folks. And like Terrence said earlier, we are the podcast to hear and watch. So make sure you're living it, loving it, and doing it.
Okay, we're kicking off the show with something that is near and dear to our heart, and that is college football coach beef. What the hell is wrong with Nick Saban?
Lots of things.
Imagine winning that many championships and feeling the need to feel insecure about anything that Deion Sanders has accomplished on the college football coaching side of town.
Some could say it's a little bit of hate.
And Deion Sanders isn't the only one. Nick Saban went in full get off my lawn mode.
Well, he is an old man, so.
Yeah, I thought it was wild that basically the inference was that, and I anticipate this is going to happen more anyway with the name and likeness deals. You know, now that there is a legitimate pipeline for actually paying players, now they're just going to bitch and moan. And when I say they, I mean some of these college coaches are going to bitch and moan about how certain programs are getting certain players. In the olden days, they just let boosters take care of it. Like the capitalist society that we are. But now, because college football is actually starting to look a little bit more like the capitalist society that it is, now there's complaining. Now there's hating. Now there's inferences of, oh, well, there was some duplicitous means by which some of these players are getting signed. Ignoring the fact, bro, just because they didn't go to Alabama doesn't mean that they have to beg these people to come here. And I think that part was frankly a little insulting. I think Deion Sanders has definitely gotten the craw of some of the establishment. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's definitely been some higher profile players that have decided, hey, we want to play at it's Jackson State, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, and Jackson State had a profile before Deion even got there, and then Deion has his own profile. He has his own college persona, for Christ's sake. I mean, he definitely was a man about town at Florida State during his time in college. So, the idea that he's ruffling feathers, one, probably a good sign. Maybe he's ruffling feathers with good reason. But the way Saban went about it, I can see why that would have pissed a ton of people off, because he did some of the same stuff to, what's his face? Speaking of Florida State, Jimbo Fisher. And so what happens with the Jimbo Fisher deal is that Nick Saban basically accuses Texas A&M of buying their entire recruiting class via name, image, and likeness deals, I can see why Jimbo Fisher started bucking back at Nick Saban, because frankly, you can't just take this sort of thing lying down. What are your thoughts on it?
So I was actually working at the NCAA whenever Jackson State hired Deion Sanders to work for Jackson State. And of course, the phone calls came in. Hey, you better watch Jackson State. Watch what Deion's going to do. He's going to start paying players. He's going to do all this, upgrade facilities, pay out of his own pocket to get players, blah, 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 blah. So that started even way back before he even started. So I can't say that I'm surprised that somebody within college football make accusations towards Jackson State or Deion Sanders. Maybe a little surprised that that's Nick Saban of all people. And granted, Nick Saban is very brash when it comes to his, verbal tirades, we'll say. And not to say this was a tirade, but he can go off on you and go off on rants and stuff like that, which is what it is. Particularly, just to be specific here, Nick Saban actually accused Deion Sanders of paying $1 million to one player to go to Jackson State. And that one player, he never mentioned the player, but it's suspected he's referring to Travis Hunter Jr., top cornerback prospect, who was supposed to go to Florida State, but maybe last minute decided to go to Jackson State instead. Well, obviously, we're not going to be on here saying whether or not Deion did or did not pay players to play for Jackson State. But what I will say is this. In 2021, Jackson State won 11 games, won the conference, the SWAT conference, right? The last full year before that, in 2019, they were below 500. I believe they won 3 games. So, yes, it's very likely impossible that Deion Sanders brought a little bit of flair and coaching to the team to make them a little better. Now, when it comes to recruits wanting to go play for Deion, and we can even get specific and talk about Travis Hunter, a cornerback, If you're a top cornerback prospect with aspirations to play in the NFL, why would you not want to go play for Deion Sanders, a guy who's a Hall of Fame cornerback in the NFL, or was a Hall of Fame quarterback from the NFL? Why would you not want to go do that? Okay. So I think you may have alluded to this before. This also brings up possibility of either unintentionally or otherwise, Nick Saban insulting HBCU, saying that they're not good enough to get a top prospect like Travis Hunter. I think he was might have been like the number one guy out there. Period. That like maybe not amongst non-quarterbacks. So people are saying, well, how do you get that to happen? Go to this HBCU as opposed to not going to Alabama or your Texas A&M's, like you said, or your Florida States, where he was supposed to be going. Well, maybe Prime talked him out of, hey, come play for Prime. So I'm sure Deion's calling him to a Prime because he still does that, and that's fine.
Yeah, he just doesn't want the media doing that.
Which is what it is.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it's more about, is people want to go play for Deion Sanders. Because maybe they wouldn't have gone to Jackson State if it wasn't for him. But guess what? He's there now. He's even done massive upgrades to the facilities, making it even more attractive for kids to go there. I don't know if I want to go on the same boat of the facilities there are comparable to Alabama's or Clemson or nothing like that, but they're a lot better than what they were. There's videos out there online of him giving the players a tour of the place. Go check it out, folks. Massive upgrades for them, and good for them. But when it comes to NIL deals, those are allowed for players now to take that. So whether you're Travis Hunter getting $250 for NIL deals, and if it's allowed, if it's actually coming from a company, not Deion Sanders or Jackson State, to pay him to play, it's allowed. Again, not staying on here what has or hasn't happened when it comes to Deion, any recruits, or Travis Hunter, but NIL deals are allowed and not illegal in any sense of the word, as long as they're following along with the state rules allowed for that and not going against NCAA rules, which are basically can't get money for a pay to play, which is not the case here, folks. So those are my initial thoughts. But to sum up, I'm not surprised that hate's going towards Deion. It's a little disappointing that it's coming from people like Nick Saban.
Yeah, I think biggest issue Nick Saban made, he called out schools specifically Like, if he just would have spoken generalities, nobody probably would have cared.
Well, I mean, people would have listened. I mean, because it's still Nick Saban. It just might not have made several countless headlines in several news outlets like it did. And honestly, he probably could have said what he wanted about Jimbo Fisher, but I think once he crossed that line and talking about Deion Sanders, that gave the story legs because he's talking about, again, Hall of Fame Deion Sanders. I mean, obviously, he said what he said about Jimbo Fisher, which is going to be part of it. But we'll be talking about this a day later or a week later or whatever.
I
If it wasn't about Deion Sanders,
I think it's a big issue. I think those are two separate issues.
maybe.
I think the issue with Nick Saban and his comments with Deion Sanders, it's one, we're talking about sacred cows here. We're talking about the black experience. We're talking about historically black colleges and universities. And I don't care how many rings Nick Saban has won over the years. In a weird way, he was basically saying, oh, well, why the hell would he want to go there?
Well,
Like,
Nick Saban, if you're listening, I just gave you 3 reasons. Go ahead.
yeah. And that's really what it boils down to, is that it was a low blow. And frankly, it was beneath him. But to make it the Jimbo Fisher thing is even wilder, because I believe Jimbo Fisher actually worked for Nick Saban.
Off the top of my head, I can't confirm that, but that may be the case.
And I'm not saying that you can't, make criticisms of people that used to be on your staff or anything like that, but it just seems so odd that someone who has won so much to even be concerned with this shit. Dude, in 5 years, you're probably going to be gone. By the time, whatever name, likeness, and image looks like in 5 years, it won't matter. You won't be coaching. So for him to be so fixated on that and distracted, I mean, it's almost like a politician. It's like he decided to give red meat to the base.
Well, in Alabama, Nick Saban is probably more powerful than a politician. So
It might be he's probably the most highest paid state employee. I tell you that much.
actually, I think that actually might be true.
Yeah.
I think that's actually true.
Yeah.
At least above the table, anyway.
Yeah, I don't even want to know what it looks like under the table. But yeah,
Neither does his wife.
my God, sir. But yeah, I thought it was beneath him. I thought it was lowbrow, and all jokes aside, when I first heard about the Jimbo Fisher thing, I immediately thought about a riff on the Chappelle skit. Should have never gave you Aggie's money.
You just want to get that line in there. You just want to get that line in there. I know it. Good job. You got it in, sir.
You're welcome.
Hashtag get it in.
Hi-yo. Anyways, but yeah, man, I think it definitely is going to make for an exciting college football season, and I can't wait until the fall.
You said Nick Saban only has so many years left to coach, which may be true. But maybe before he retires, they'll put Alabama and Jackson State on the schedule to play each other. Never know.
No, they won't.
A non-conference
No,
game. I know. I'm trying to be wishful thinking, man. Wishful thinking.
Why do you want that is the real question.
Are you asking me that as a podcast host or a fan of football?
Why do you want that game? Answer it however you feel, like whichever hat you're wearing right now.
Why not?
I don't want that game.
So okay,
I'm sorry. I don't want SEC talent. Jackson State plays in what conference? SWAC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, just like I don't want to see the likes of Notre Dame getting blitzkrieg to death in the championship game versus Alabama, I don't want to see this versus Jackson State. I don't want to see it.
Now, real quick, we don't have to dwell on this, but are you talking about just because you feel like it would be a mismatch? Is that what you're referring to, or just something else?
What I feel like whatever we think we want to see, in reality, we don't want to see it. At least from my perspective.
Okay.
That's my perspective. Fans,
we'll leave it at that.
Feel free to disagree, but that's where I'm at on it.
Okay, we'll leave it. Consider it dropped.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that concludes our first segment on college football beef. Coming up next, we're going to get into what the hell's going on with monkeypox on Cal Park Bros.